My mom had a severe hatred of women from the day I was born. She treated me not like her daughter, but like a rival woman, like her husband's mistress. When I turned 20, I put on a tube of color-changing lip gloss I'd bought at a convenience store. I thought it looked nice, something simple. The moment she saw me, her hand came flying across my face. "You shameless girl," she shouted. "Are you trying to seduce your own father?" My cheek burned as she turned toward Dad with a trembling smile. "I gave birth to my own competition," she said, almost laughing. Then, gripping his arm possessively, she whispered, "You can only love me, not her." That day, something inside me cracked. I fell into a deep, choking depression. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore. I jumped from the rooftop. When I opened my eyes again, I wasn't myself. I had become my grandmother, Emily Wilson. My mother never wanted a daughter. Not because she preferred sons, but because she hated women. She feared that any woman, even her own child, would steal her husband's affection. The day I was born, when the nurse announced it's a girl, my mother caused a scene in the hospital. "How could I give birth to a homewrecker?" she screamed. "Didn't you see? She looks just like him." The doctor, exasperated, made her take a DNA test just to quiet her madness. I was undeniably her biological daughter. When she found out, she broke down in tears, not from relief, but from fury. She tried to send me to an orphanage, but her body had been damaged during childbirth. She could no longer conceive. So instead, she turned to my father, making him kneel beside her bed, forcing a vow from his lips. "You'll only love me," she said. "You can't hug her. You can't kiss her." And he obeyed. From the moment I could remember, my father never hugged me once, never kissed my forehead. I had to keep my distance like a stranger living in their house. When I was 7, my mother found out that Dad's phone wallpaper was a photo of me smiling in my school uniform. She slapped me so hard I saw stars. After that, every photo on his phone was of her. Only her. When I was 12, I spent weeks saving money to buy him a wallet for his birthday. When I handed it to him, my mother snatched it away, sneering. "Don't think I don't know what you're trying to do," she said coldly. "We're both women. I understand your kind of tricks." To her friends, she'd say, "I'm so unlucky, raising a little homewrecker in my own house." A few years later, a divorced woman moved into the apartment upstairs. She was kind. When she noticed my cracked lips, she handed me a lip balm. I didn't know it was the color-changing type. I just wanted to look normal. But when I went home, my mother saw the faint pink tint on my lips and lost control. "What's that on your mouth?" she screamed, striking me across the face so hard that one of my teeth came loose. Blood filled my mouth. I tried to cover it with my hand, but she grabbed me by the collar, scrubbing at my lips like she could erase the color. During the struggle, the lip balm rolled onto the floor. When she saw the neighbor's name on it, her rage doubled. She dragged me upstairs and banged on the woman's door. When the door opened, my mother spat venom. "Don't think I don't see your plan. Using my daughter to seduce my husband. No wonder you're divorced. No one wants you. You deserve to be alone." The woman's face went pale. She moved out that night, and I was left standing in the hallway, holding my psychiatric report in trembling hands, the words "severe depression" stamped across it. The next time I opened my eyes, I saw a man kneeling before a woman, holding a ring. My heart stopped. It was my father proposing to my mother. I was no longer myself. I was my grandmother, Emily Wilson, starting over. A bitter laugh escaped my lips. "Mom," I whispered, "now you'll know what despair feels like." She pouted sweetly, pressing herself against Michael, my father, still young and foolish in this time. "Michael," she said in that saccharine voice, "you have to swear you'll only love me. You'll spoil me, protect me, never lie to me, never look at other women, never even speak to them. Promise me that, and I'll marry you." And just like before, he swore. "Michael," I called softly. He hesitated, a faint smile on his lips as if unsure how to respond to the promises my mother demanded of him. Before he could speak, I stepped forward. "Wait," I said sharply. "What do you mean? Never spend money on other women? Does that mean you won't take care of your own mother? Am I not a woman too?" My voice trembled with anger. "Tell me, Michael, does getting married mean forgetting your mother?" The room went silent. My heart pounded. Then I sank to the ground dramatically, clutching my chest like a grieving widow. "How miserable am I?" I wailed. I finally raised a son to care for me in my old age, and now his wife wants to kick me out before she's even married him. How miserable is my life? Everyone was stunned. The tension hung thick in the air until someone in the crowd muttered, "That doesn't sound right." Another voice joined in. "The old lady's right. How can any man promise not to talk to other women? What if his boss is a woman? Should he quit his job then? Daughters are women too," another chimed in. "So, what? He shouldn't speak to his daughter either? Ridiculous." Someone snorted. "Whoever marries that girl is unlucky." My daughter, Sarah, turned pale. She hadn't expected the crowd to side with me. Quickly, she bent down to help me up. "Mom, you're misunderstanding me. I didn't mean it that way," she said, forcing a gentle smile while shooting a desperate wink at Michael. Michael caught it immediately. "Mom," he began carefully, "Sarah didn't mean that. Please calm down. You're making a scene." I slapped the back of his neck with a sharp crack. "Making a scene? That's what you call this?" I turned to the onlookers, tears welling in my eyes. "Everyone, tell me, am I making a scene? Am I wrong for defending myself?" The slap wasn't only for now. It was for all the years he'd said nothing, all the times he'd watched my daughter treat me cruelly in silence. Whenever she'd screamed at me, he'd say, "She's your mother, just endure it." Well, I'd endured enough. This time I wouldn't. If he wanted to be a coward again in this life, fine, but I wasn't going to join him. The outburst worked. Sarah's expression softened, her lips trembling. "Mom, I really didn't mean that. What do you want us to do?" My tears stopped. My mind sharpened. "I'm getting old," I said calmly. "I need someone to take care of me. They say a daughter-in-law is like half a daughter, right? So I'll move in with you too. We can all live together." Sarah froze. Michael looked stunned. "Perfect. In my past life, my grandmother, Emily Wilson, had never lived with us. Because my mother, Sarah, was too jealous. Whenever Grandma visited, she'd bring gifts and homemade snacks. I used to love those days. But once Grandma left, my mother's smile would vanish. Not to be rude, Michael," she'd say coldly, "but your relationship with your mother seems odd. She visits so often people might start talking. They might think there's something inappropriate between you two." Then she'd throw away every single thing Grandma had brought. Michael could only sigh and beg his mother to visit less often, claiming he was too busy with work. And so, Grandma's visits grew rarer and rarer. Until one winter day, she died alone at home. She'd forgotten to turn off the gas. The neighbors only found her 3 days later. When my mother heard the news, she laughed in private. "That old hag finally died," she'd whispered. "Now Michael can love me without distractions. Finally, no one will compete with me for his affection." That memory made my stomach twist. Poor Grandma, Emily Wilson, who had worked so hard and been repaid only with loneliness. Now that I was her, I swore to make things right. "Don't worry, Grandma," I thought silently. "I'll get justice for you." Back in the present, Sarah's voice trembled. "Mom, we're both very busy with work. If you move in, we might not be able to take good care of you." I smiled sweetly, waving a dismissive hand. "You're right," I said. "You're so busy, but don't worry, dear. I'll take care of myself." Then, my eyes flicked toward Michael. Because that was exactly what I intended to do. "That's nothing," I said lightly, waving my hand. "I'm not that old. I can take care of myself." I leaned back on the sofa, letting a sly smile curl on my lips. "I might even help you with future children if you like." I shifted my tone, soft and sweet but with an undercurrent of mischief. "Unless you look down on this old woman. Think I'm a burden?" I paused, letting the words hang in the air before tilting my head in mock despair. I might just have to throw another tantrum about how miserable my life has been. Mom sighed and shook her head, realizing she'd lost the battle. She grudgingly agreed. I nodded, my chest swelling with satisfaction. Victory, finally. "Mom," I warned softly, eyes glinting, "just wait for the next few weeks." And so began my little campaign. I complained endlessly about leg aches and back pain, coaxing Michael, my father, to massage me. But as expected, Mom always appeared first. Every time, I felt a rush of triumph. The more she fussed over me, the more justified I felt in bossing her around. One day, after 10 minutes of kneading my sore shoulders, Mom began to protest. "I think my hands are getting sore, dear," she said, retreating toward the doorway. I feigned concern. "Don't overwork yourself, Mom. People might say I'm mistreating my daughter-in-law." Her eyes narrowed, flaring with pride. Let Michael do it. He's a big, strong man. I pushed her gently, but firmly. Mom, you're tired. Let Michael take over. Don't baby him so much. She gritted her teeth, but a reluctant smile formed on her lips. Mom, I can still do it. Let me massage you, I said, my grin wide and triumphant. Her resistance melted in the warmth of my gaze. Really?
You really mean that? She asked.
I nodded, almost mockingly, enjoying the power shift. Yes, I insist. For a moment, she hesitated, then picked up her tools again. I had to admit, it felt good. Being waited on, doted on, it was intoxicating. But within a month, even Mom began to tire. Her arms ached, her back stiffened, and her patience thinned. That didn't stop her from spoiling me, but she found a way to ease her burden. She bought a massage chair, an extravagant, luxurious one that practically hugged my body as I sank into it. The first time I sat in it, I nearly purred with delight. I was officially spoiled, and it was glorious. As a small reward for myself, and a test of how much chaos I could orchestrate, I decided to invite Dad's first love to the house the very next day. The game was far from over. I found Jessica's address in Michael's old diary, the one he'd hidden in a shoebox under his bed, thinking no one would ever look. In my previous life as his daughter, I'd never known about her. Mom had erased every trace of Michael's past so thoroughly that even family photo albums had been purged of anyone who might have once mattered to him. But now, with Emily's memories blending with my own, I remembered the whispered conversations, the nervous way young Michael had clutched that diary, the longing looks he'd cast toward the old neighborhood where Jessica still lived.
She worked at a flower shop now.
Unmarried. Still waiting, though she probably didn't even realize what she was waiting for anymore. I called her that morning, my voice warm and grandmotherly. Jessica, dear? This is Emily Wilson, Michael's mother. I know it's been so long, but I'd love to have you over for tea. I'm making my famous apple tarts, and I remember how much you loved them. There was a long pause on the other end. Then softly, Mrs. Wilson? I didn't know you remembered me. Of course I remember you, sweetheart. You were always such a kind girl. Please come by tomorrow afternoon. I'd be so happy to see you again. When I hung up, I could barely contain my smile. Mom was out shopping, another one of her elaborate grocery trips where she'd buy ingredients for meals she'd never actually cook, just to prove she was a devoted wife. She wouldn't be back for hours. Perfect timing. The next afternoon, I set the table with my finest china. Emily's finest china, really. The apple tarts sat cooling on a wire rack, filling the apartment with a scent of cinnamon and brown sugar. I'd even put on a nice dress and pearls, playing the role of the gracious mother-in-law who might have been. Jessica arrived at 2 o'clock sharp, holding a small bouquet of daisies. She'd aged beautifully, soft lines around her eyes, hair pulled back in a simple bun, an understated elegance that spoke of quiet dignity rather than desperate glamour. Everything Mom was not. Mrs. Wilson, Jessica said, her voice trembling slightly as I opened the door. Thank you for inviting me. I brought these. How lovely. I took the flowers, ushering her inside. Please, come in, come in. Make yourself at home. As we settled in the living room, I poured tea and served the tarts, watching Jessica's eyes roam over the space. She was looking for him, I realized. Looking for any trace of the boy she'd once loved. Michael isn't home right now, I said gently, as if reading her mind. But he'll be back soon. He's working so hard lately, him and his new fiancée. Sarah, her name is. Jessica's cup rattled slightly against the saucer. Fiancé. Yes, I heard he was engaged. I'm happy for him. She wasn't happy. I could see it in the way her smile didn't quite reach her eyes, in the slight tremor of her hand as she set down her tea. Are you, dear? I asked softly. Because you don't look happy. Jessica's eyes widened, then filled with tears she quickly blinked away. I'm sorry, that was inappropriate. Nonsense. I reached across the table and patted her hand. You loved my son. I always knew that. And between you and me. I leaned in conspiratorially, lowering my voice. I always thought you were perfect for him. That's when I heard the key turn in the lock. Michael came home first, briefcase in hand, tie loosened from a long day at work. He froze when he saw Jessica sitting in our living room, color draining from his face. Jess, he whispered. Michael. She stood up quickly, nearly knocking over her teacup. Your mother invited me. I didn't know. It's been so long since I've seen Jessica, I interrupted smoothly, smiling at them both. And I thought, what harm could there be in catching up with an old friend? Surely you don't mind. Do you, Michael? He looked trapped, torn between the woman he'd once loved and the woman he'd sworn himself to. No, of course not, Mom. It's good to see you, Jess. You look well. You too, she said softly. The air between them was electric, charged with all the things they'd never said, all the promises that had been broken when he'd met Sarah. I sat back, sipping my tea, thoroughly enjoying the show. That's when the front door slammed open. Mom had come home early. Sarah stood in the doorway, shopping bags slipping from her hands as she took in the scene. Michael and Jessica standing too close, frozen in the middle of some unspoken conversation, and me sitting on the sofa with the satisfied smile of a cat who'd caught a particularly fat mouse. What is she doing here? Sarah's voice was ice. Sarah, Michael started, but she cut him off. I asked what SHE is doing in our home. I stood up slowly, arranging my face into an expression of innocent confusion. Sarah, dear, this is Jessica, an old friend of Michael's. I invited her over for tea. Surely you don't mind me having guests? Mind? Sarah's laugh was sharp, brittle. She dropped the bags and strode into the room, positioning herself between Michael and Jessica like a wall. You invited your son's ex-girlfriend to our home without telling me? Ex-girlfriend. I tilted my head, blinking innocently. Oh, I didn't realize. Michael never told me they dated. Jessica was just such a sweet girl, I wanted to catch up with her. Was that wrong? Sarah's eyes narrowed. She knew. She knew exactly what I was doing, but she couldn't say it. Not without looking like the jealous, possessive woman she truly was. Jessica, bless her, looked mortified. I should go. This was a mistake. No, please stay. I insisted, gently pulling her back down onto the sofa. You haven't finished your tea. Sarah, don't be rude to our guest. Our guest. Sarah's voice climbed higher. Mother Wilson, with all due respect, this is inappropriate. Inviting Michael's ex into our home. Why? I asked simply. If there's nothing between them anymore, what's the harm? Unless. I paused, letting the implication hang in the air. Unless you don't trust Michael? Michael looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him whole. Sarah's face flushed red. I trust Michael completely. But it's about respect. Respect. I interrupted, my voice hardening just slightly. Speaking of respect, I seem to remember someone demanding that her fiancé never speak to other women. But surely that didn't include old friends, did it? Surely you're not so unreasonable as to forbid Michael from having any female acquaintances. The room went silent. Jessica looked between us, clearly wishing she'd never come. Sarah's hands clenched into fists at her sides. That's not what I meant, and you know it. Do I? I smiled sweetly. Because from where I'm sitting, it seems like you're trying to control who Michael can and cannot see. And that's not healthy, dear. That's not love. That's obsession. Sarah's face went white, then red, then white again. For a moment I thought she might actually strike me. Part of me hoped she would, in front of witnesses, no less. It would make things so much easier. But she held herself back, trembling with rage. Michael, she said, her voice shaking. Tell your mother she's out of line. Michael looked at me, then at Sarah, then at Jessica, still sitting on our sofa, looking like she desperately wanted to dissolve into thin air. I could see the wheels turning in his head, the same old calculation. Which woman would be more upset if he sided with the other? Just like in my previous life, he chose the path of least resistance. Mom, he said softly, maybe this wasn't the best time for a visit. Jessica, I'm sorry you got caught in the middle of this. Coward, I thought. Still a coward. But I'd expected this. I stood up, smoothing my dress. You're absolutely right, Michael. I apologize, Jessica dear. I didn't mean to cause trouble. Why don't you come back next week? We can catch up properly then. Tuesday afternoon work for you. Sarah's jaw dropped. Next week? Mother Wilson. Tuesday it is, Jessica said quickly, standing up and practically fleeing toward the door. Thank you for the tea, Mrs. Wilson. She was gone before Sarah could object further. The moment the door closed, Sarah rounded on me. What do you think you're doing? I blinked innocently. Having tea with an old friend? Don't play games with me. Her voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to break us up. Break you up? I laughed, genuinely amused. My dear girl, If your relationship is so fragile that it can't withstand Michael having tea with an old friend, perhaps it's already broken. She's not just an old friend. She's his first love. And you're his fiancé, I interrupted smoothly. If you're really so insecure, maybe you should ask yourself why. Sarah's hands trembled. I could see her struggling to maintain control, to not say what she really wanted to say. Finally, she turned to Michael, her voice breaking. Are you going to let her talk to me like this? Michael sighed, running a hand through his hair. Mom, could you please not invite Jessica over again without checking with us first? Us. I raised an eyebrow. This is my home too now, remember? You both agreed to that. And I'm getting old, Michael. I don't have many friends left. Am I not allowed to have any visitors? That's not what Because if I'm not allowed to have visitors, maybe I should find my own place. Somewhere I won't be a burden. I let my voice waver. My eyes fill with tears. I don't want to be a burden to my own son. No, Mom. You're not a burden, Michael said quickly, shooting Sarah a desperate look. Sarah stood there, shaking with fury but unable to say anything without looking like the villain. I'd boxed her in perfectly. I'm tired, I said softly, wiping at my eyes. I think I'll go lie down. Sarah, dear, could you clean up the tea things? My back is aching again. Without waiting for a response, I shuffled toward my bedroom, allowing myself a small, satisfied smile once my back was turned. Round 2, mine. That night, I lay in bed listening to them argue through the thin walls. She's manipulating you, Sarah hissed. Can't you see that?
She's my mother, Sarah.
She's just lonely. Lonely? She invited your ex-girlfriend over to cause trouble. Maybe she really didn't know. She's getting older, her memory. Her memory is fine. She knew exactly what she was doing. There was a long pause. Then Michael's voice weary. What do you want me to do, Sarah? Kick my own mother out? I want you to take my side for once. I want you to put me first. I am putting you first. I told her not to invite Jessica again. But you didn't tell Jessica not to come. You didn't tell your mother that what she did was wrong. You just made excuses for her. Another pause. Then, so quietly I almost didn't hear it. Jess looked good today, didn't she? The silence that followed was deafening. What did you say? Sarah's voice was dangerously soft. Nothing. I didn't say anything. I'm tired. Let's just go to sleep.
No.
What did you just say about her? Sarah, please. You said she looked good. You're still in love with her. I'm not. You are. You've always been in love with her. I knew it. I always knew it. Sarah, you're being paranoid. Don't you dare call me paranoid. I saw the way you looked at her today. I saw. The sound of something shattering cut her off. Then Sarah's voice, cracking with tears. I knew it. I knew you'd leave me eventually. Just like everyone else. No one's leaving anyone, Michael said, his voice exhausted. Come here.
Come here, please.
I love you. Only you. I promise. I heard Sarah's muffled sobs, Michael's soothing murmurs. The same script they'd performed so many times in my previous life, whenever Mom's jealousy spiraled out of control. But this time, there was a new element, doubt. I'd planted a seed, and it was already beginning to sprout. The next morning, I woke early and made breakfast, fluffy pancakes, crispy bacon, fresh orange juice. When Michael emerged from the bedroom, looking haggard and sleep-deprived, I smiled warmly. Good morning, dear. I made your favorite. He sat down at the table, managing a weak smile. Thanks, Mom. Sarah appeared a few minutes later, her eyes red and puffy.
She didn't look at me.
I served them both, humming softly as I moved around the kitchen. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. So, I said cheerfully, I was thinking about going through some old photo albums today. Michael, do you still have those boxes from when you were in college? I'd love to take a trip down memory lane. Michael paused mid-bite. I'm not sure where those are anymore. Oh, I think I saw them in the storage closet, I said innocently. I'll look for them after breakfast. Sarah's fork clattered against her plate. Why do you want to look at old photos? Well, I'm getting older, dear. I like to remember the good times. I smiled at her. You don't mind, do you? She glanced at Michael, who was suddenly very interested in his pancakes.
No.
Of course not. Wonderful. I clapped my hands together. Maybe you can help me go through them. It'll be fun. You can see what Michael was like as a young man. Sarah's smile was strained. I'd love to. She wouldn't love it. because I knew exactly what was in those albums. Photo after photo of Michael and Jessica. At the beach, at parties, at coffee shops. Young and in love. Before Sarah had ever entered the picture. Before she'd sunk her claws in. That afternoon, I spread the albums out on the living room floor. Sarah had tried to excuse herself, claiming she had errands to run, but I'd insisted she stay. "Oh, please, dear. I barely get to spend time with you. Just a few minutes." She'd reluctantly agreed, sitting stiffly on the couch while I opened the first album. "Oh, look at this one." I held up a photo of Michael and Jessica at a carnival, him winning her a stuffed bear, both of them laughing. "Don't they look happy?" Sarah's jaw clenched. "Very happy." "Michael was such a romantic back then," I sighed. "He used to write Jessica poetry." "Did he ever write you poetry, dear?" "No," Sarah said through gritted teeth.
Oh.
I blinked, as if surprised. "Well, I'm sure he shows his love in other ways." I flipped through more pages, keeping up a running commentary. "Oh, here they are at graduation, and here's the trip they took to the mountains. Oh, this was their anniversary dinner." "Their what?" Sarah's voice was sharp. "Their anniversary. 1 year together." I smiled. Or was it 2? I can't quite remember. They dated for quite a while before they broke up. "Why did they break up?" Sarah asked, leaning forward despite herself. I paused, as if considering how to answer. "I'm not entirely sure," I said slowly. "I think Jessica wanted to focus on her career, and Michael respected that."
But I always thought.
I trailed off, shaking my head. "What?" "Nothing, dear. It's ancient history." "What did you always think?" Sarah pressed. I looked up at her, my expression sad. "I always thought they'd find their way back to each other eventually. They were so perfect together. Soulmates, really." Sarah stood up abruptly. "I need to go." "Already?" "But we've barely started." I said I need to go. She grabbed her purse and practically ran out of the apartment. I sat alone with the photo albums, smiling to myself. Seed planted, watered. Now I just needed to wait for it to grow. Over the next 2 weeks, I cultivated my garden of chaos with the dedication of a master gardener. I made sure to mention Jessica in casual conversation whenever possible. "Oh, Jessica used to make the most wonderful lasagna. Michael, do you remember?" Or, "I saw someone who looked just like Jessica at the market today. Michael, you should give her a call, see how she's doing." Each mention made Sarah flinch. Each flinch made Michael uncomfortable. Each uncomfortable moment added another crack to their carefully constructed relationship. I also started asking Michael for help with increasingly specific tasks, things that required him to be home more, to spend less time with Sarah. "Michael, dear, could you help me move this furniture? My back just isn't what it used to be." Or, "Michael, I need you to take me to my doctor's appointment. I don't like going alone." Sarah couldn't object without looking heartless. After all, I was just a frail old woman who needed her son's help. But the real masterstroke came when I accidentally left my phone unlocked with a text conversation visible. A conversation with Jessica, talking about how nice it had been to see Michael again, how he hadn't changed at all, how she'd been thinking about him. Sarah saw it while I was in the bathroom. I'd left my phone on the coffee table deliberately, the screen glowing with those damning messages. When I returned, Sarah was standing over my phone, her whole body rigid. "Sarah, dear, is something wrong?" She spun around, eyes wild. "You've been texting with her. Behind my back." "Behind your back?" I picked up my phone, glancing at the screen. "Oh, these? Jessica and I have been chatting. She's such a sweet girl. We're planning to meet for lunch next week. Would you like to come?" "You're planning to what?" "Meet for lunch. I already told you she's coming over again on Tuesday, remember?" And then we thought.
No.
Sarah's voice was shaking.
No.
"You are not meeting with her. You are not having her over. This stops now." I widened my eyes, pressing a hand to my chest. "Sarah, dear, you can't tell me who I can and cannot be friends with. Well, that's rather controlling, don't you think?" "Controlling? You're trying to get Michael back together with his ex. That's absurd. They're both adults. If anything were to happen between them, it would be their choice, not mine." I paused, tilting my head. "Though I must say, if you're this worried about it, perhaps your relationship isn't as solid as you think." Sarah's face crumpled. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Then I remembered her laughing about Emily dying alone. I remembered her throwing away Grandma's gifts. I remembered her slapping me for wearing lip gloss. accusing me of trying to seduce my own father. My sympathy evaporated. Michael, Sarah screamed, storming toward the bedroom. Michael, get out here now. He emerged, disheveled and confused.
What?
What's wrong? Your mother is trying to set you up with Jessica.
What?
No, she's not. Yes, she is. She's been texting her, planning lunches, inviting her over. Sarah, you're overreacting. I'm not overreacting. Why don't you ever believe me? Why do you always take her side? I'm not taking anyone's side. You are.
You always do.
Ever since she moved in, everything's been about her. Her needs, her wants, her friends. What about me? What about us? Michael ran a hand through his hair, looking exhausted. Sarah, please calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. She was crying now, her careful composure completely shattered. I can't do this anymore. I can't compete with your mother and your ex-girlfriend and your entire past. I thought you loved me. I thought I was enough. You are enough. Then prove it. She grabbed his hands, desperate. Move out with me. Let's get our own place. Just the two of us. Michael froze. I held my breath, waiting. This was the moment. This was where everything would either come together or fall apart. Sarah, Michael said slowly, I can't just leave my mother alone. She's old. She needs help. She's not helpless. She's playing you. Can't you see that? My mother is not. She is. She's manipulating you, manipulating both of us, trying to break us up so she can have you all to herself. The words hung in the air. I stepped forward, letting tears well up in my eyes. Is that really what you think of me? I whispered. That I would try to destroy my own son's happiness? Yes, Sarah spat. Yes, that's exactly what I think. Michael's face hardened. Sarah, that's enough. Michael. I said that's enough. My mother has done nothing but try to help us. If you can't see that, if you can't appreciate what she's trying to do, then maybe. He stopped, but the implication was clear. Sarah stared at him, devastated. Maybe what? He didn't answer. She laughed then, a broken, bitter sound. I see. I see how it is. She wiped her eyes, straightening her shoulders. You know what? You deserve each other. You and your mother. I hope you'll be very happy together. She grabbed her coat and headed for the door. Sarah, wait. Michael started after her, but she held up a hand. Don't. Just don't. The door slammed behind her. Michael stood there, staring at the closed door, his face pale. Then he turned to me, something like accusation in his eyes. Mom, what have you done? I smiled softly, sadly, and placed a gentle hand on his arm. Nothing, dear. I've done nothing at all. And technically, I hadn't. I'd simply given Sarah enough rope to hang herself, just like she would have done to me, and did in another life.